keep the lessons under 5 minutes, even though I know the length of the practice will be longer than that. But I try to keep the lessons on YouTube to under 5 minutes. Read more about the 2-year study I did with this program on my Substack. Ask participants now to place 2 or 3 objects in random locations. Now, based on the work that we've been doing over the past few weeks, have the participants decide for themselves which way seems to work best for them. Is it writing down the location, or is it registering the location and working that short-term memory to hold on to that image over the period of the class? Now, as they choose, it'll be incumbent upon them to decide if they're making the choice based on what's the easiest, or they're making their choice based on what they think is going to be the most challenging and which one they think will give them the most benefit. Sometimes a new challenge is exactly what you need. That forces you to kind of work up to the edge of your ability, and that's where real growth happens. But you can provide the options for ways for them to challenge what they're working on, and then it's up to them to choose it. Now give them time to write down the location or lock that mental picture of the location in their mind and move on to the ball toss. And you're changing up the different verses at different times based on what you've already determined with the group is going to be the signal for the change. Now it's time to move your objects to a different location. Now, for a thorough explanation of diaphragmatic breathing and some exercises to practice accessing that, check out week 12. When you combine breathing with accessing your recovery muscles, it's important that your ribs expand when you inhale and contract when you exhale. Now, what do I mean when I talk about recovery muscles? I think they're technically the intercostal muscles, but it's that group of muscles that you use when you sneeze or blowing out a candle. Those are the muscles that will help you recover. That's why I call them recovery muscles. They help you recover when you lose your balance. So as we age, the older we get, those intercostal muscles become less and less elastic because we use them less and less. I remember discovering this with my daughter at a playground, trying to do some monkey bars, and I couldn't do it. Of all the years that I spent growing up on monkey bars, and I had no access to those muscles at all. And then also, of course, after the car wreck, when I had been breathing on life support, all of my abdominal muscles were weak. So recovering those recovery muscles became very important to me. To be even able to turn over in bed, you need those recovery muscles. So I started working with this on the Bosu ball, which you'll see. If you don't have a Bosu ball, I've also got, I think, a pillow just off my bed. It can be done on a chair, but just you can do it in bed before you get out of bed in the morning. When the floor is right there, when the bed is right there. It's just important to begin to access these on a regular basis so that when you need them, they're there. Now I'm going to start with something called a Bosu ball. This is what I use. It's flat on one side and cushy on the other. So you can see I'll sit down on the top of it, and it's firm, but it gives. And then on the bottom, it's flat surface. And I use this because it gets me low to the ground. And again, it's on a surface that when I sit up on my coccyx bone, on my tailbone, for this practice, it's soft and it doesn't hurt. So as I get myself seated on the Bosu ball, I try to focus really clearly on those intercostal muscles, knitting those together. I even put my hands on my rib cage to be sure that I'm accessing that when I need to. And going back to the breathing, making sure that you are breathing from your diaphragm. You may find that you exhale when you correct yourself. You can go up to your toes And then I think I lift my feet off here in a minute and try to go to that balance. Now that's harder if you're not really strong abdominally, but when you do that and your balance shifts, those intercostal muscles will really engage. And you can combine that with your breathing by giving that a short burst of air out and exhale. And that helps you know that you're in contact with those muscles. And now I'm just going to grab a pillow off my bed and I put it down on the ground. Again, I'm close to the ground, so it's safe. The pillow is soft, and I'm going to put myself up on my tailbone. And then it's important to know that when you do this, you need to intentionally toss yourself off balance. Intentionally lean one way or the other until you're off balance, and your muscles have to engage to right you back up again. And that is exercising those muscles. And part of the reason I like to do this too, and I said this earlier, that you can do it in bed even, you want to be in a safe place, obviously, where you're working. If it's easier for you to have your legs out, that you can do that. You can bring them up to your toes, or you can lift them up completely. Either way, you want to be sure that those muscles, the breathing, basic, deep intercostal muscles, are engaged, and that is what you're working. Now, you don't have to practice this for a long time. In fact, one of the things that I like about it is that it takes a very short period of time. Maybe you sit down at night to watch some television and you've been sitting there for a while. Give yourself a commercial break, and that's when you're going to do this exercise. Because once you figure out the access those muscles and you've got yourself in an area that's safe, you begin to tip yourself off balance, maintaining the diaphragmatic muscles, maintaining all of that strong girdle of muscles that stabilizes. Then you can begin to incorporate practicing accessing these recovery muscles into your daily life. Now recall your objects and go and retrieve them.